Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, and today we have a new video that I've been wanting to make for a while. And what prompted me to do this video this video is about 10-year-old Euro games that are in my library. I was thinking about doing a top 10 of 2021 for a long time now because it's getting late in 22. But I really couldn't think of 10 games that I could recommend to you that came out last year. You could very easily make a top 10 list of the best games of 2021. But are they good games? That is the whole question. Were they good enough to tell you to go out and buy them? I didn't feel comfortable with the ones that came out last year to do that. There were some good ones, and maybe I'll make a video and just talk about the ones from 2021 that I really thought I could recommend to you as very, very good and replayable board games. But because of that, I thought there's so many good older games that get overlooked because they're not new and they're not hot right now. But the games still are amazing. They're better than what came out recently, and I want to tell you about some of those games just so you can get an idea about some of the games that maybe you're overlooking or missing because you're caught up in the newness and the hotness and things that are bright and shiny. So without talking any more about that, let's talk about the criteria that I used to make this list. The games have to be at least 10 years old. They have to be in my library because if they're in my library, I love them. So they have to be in my library, they have to be 10 years old, and I think that was it. They're just Euro style games. So without any more talking about it, let's get started. And as always, I have a bonus for you, and it's going to be the game number 11 in my top 10. And game number 11 in my top 10 is Roll Through the Ages, the Bronze Age. And this is Matt Laycock's game. Matt Laycock, who did the iconic, absolutely iconic Pandemic game. Just a magnificent, one of the best games of this century, obviously. But this Roll Through the Ages was his also. And I love so much about this game, I wanted to tell you about it. And there's a picture of it on the back of the box. And I bought this game for $15 at a flea market. I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't buy it new. And when I opened it up at the flea market, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to have this game because these thick wooden player boards that it plays 2 to 4 players. First of all, let me go down my notes. No, it plays 1 to 4, so it has a solo variant. And it has dice rolling, and I'll show you the dice in a minute. And the dice have to have icons on them, must be resolved, contract fulfillment, push your luck element, outstanding production I wrote in my notes, and you have to obtain commodities and workers on the dice. But you can see here, and you get these pegs, different color pegs that represent different resources, and you're going to keep track of them on this pegboard, which is essentially what this is. But it is so lovely and so well done. Sorry, I had them upside down. And I just really enjoy, look how thick those things are. They're just incredible. I love this game, and that's part of the reason why I love it. And then you get, in this box, 7 of these chunky wooden dice. Now these dice are about the size of the King of Tokyo or Dinosaur Island dice. Big chunky dice. These are made of wood, and they're screen printed on the wood with black iconography. The people that you see on the dice are workers and so forth that you can, there's some danger, punishment icons that punish you during the game. But man, these dice are so wonderful, and these boards are so wonderful. Wooden pegs, and then you have a sheet, each player, and you're simply going to gather resources, and you get various benefits helping you do that, gather the resources to construct monuments. And that is so much fun. The one with the most points at the end of the game wins. You have to keep track of your disasters on your sheet. As you can see, I mean, it comes with a pad of score sheets, but we just laminate them and use a dry erase. I do that in all my games, and that's just a little hint you might want to use. If you have games that have score sheets in them, so you don't use them up, you just laminate them and use a dry erase marker, and you can use them over and over again, which is what we do. But I just love this game. It's the only roll and write game in our library. I dislike roll and write games intensely. I played a lot of them that I enjoy, like Quicks, I really like that, Ganchan Clever, and there's some, I've played Yahtzee 1,000 times, but I just don't like getting out a pencil. It makes me feel like I'm in school, so I don't like that too much unless I'm adding up my score at the end of the game. So I don't have too many roll and writes. But this one stays in our library. We've had it ever since I saw it at the flea market, and I really, really enjoy it because they just went the extra mile in the production of this game to make it interesting. I super enjoy this game. We've hung on to it for quite a while now, and I'm going to continue to hang on to it. And that's Matt Laycock's Roll Through the Ages, the Bronze Age, 1 to 4 players. And I hope you can still find this, and it's worth it. Like I said, I paid 15 bucks for this thing. What a great bargain that was. All right, let's get to the top 10. Okay, number 10 is Thebes by Peter Prince. Came out in 2007, so that would make this game about 10, 13, 14 years old. 2 to 4 players, and the art is by Michael Menzel, who's one of my favorite board game artists. Whenever he is involved in the art, it's usually very evocative, very absorbing. I mean, it really takes you in, as that is the case in Thebes. I really enjoy this game. On the back of the box here, I'll show you. You gather knowledge, and the more knowledge that you gather, the deeper you are able to excavate when you go to a dig site. And you have these draw bags where you're drawing out artifacts, and you have a dial. I'll show you some of the parts here in a minute. But you have a certain amount of artifacts that you're allowed to draw out of the bag depending on how much knowledge you have. And it's very lucky because of that. So you might draw some things out that are blank. Blank tokens, you get nothing. I forget what they're called in thematically, but they're blanks. So I have to, because sometimes I feel like I'm unlucky in lucky games like this, but I have to gather a lot of knowledge so that I can pull out enough tokens to get something out of that bag. So I'm very careful about it when I play Thebes. But yeah, it is a luck kind of base game. Like 80% of it I think would be controllable, 20% randomness or 20% luck. That's a little too much for some people, but not for me in this case. I really, really love Thebes because of that luck factor. It's just so much fun. Let's see some of my notes here. Time is the currency, and it's a mechanic in the game where depending on what you do, it's going to cost you so much time. It goes around the outside of the board, and that mechanic is really amazing in this game. So in the game also, the player that's furthest back on the time track is going to take a turn, so that player may get a couple more than one turn in a row, so that's pretty cool. And this is the board, and the back of the board has a picture on it, which I think is always cool when production companies do that, board game production companies and publishing companies. And then this is the map, this is the board. Pretty cool. You're going to travel around that board, and these are the dig sites down here with the different color circles on them, so that's pretty cool. And then you have these wonderful bags. I hope these came with the game, did they? Okay. You get these wonderful bags, and these are the bags that are going to have that color of tokens in them, and when you have a certain amount of knowledge, you can go to this dig site and start digging out artifacts, and they have point totals on them. There's a 4-pointer, and there's a 1 point, you can see. And then you also have these you can pull out, and they're blank on both sides, so you don't get any points. So you got to make sure when you go there that, you know, if you're feeling lucky, you don't really have to have a lot of knowledge, and maybe you'll get lucky, but I kind of play it conservatively. And then it has a lot of cards with it that you're going to be acquiring, knowledge cards, and then other cards that have scoring opportunities on them for the end of the game, and then benefit cards that give you some help to play the game. And yeah, you've got some color tokens here representing your player colors, and you're going to, like I say, travel around the board to different dig sites with your excavators or your archaeologists or whatever. But I think everybody's an archaeologist in this game, and it's just a super lot of fun. I came by this game kind of late, and I think we bought it off of the Geek Market very inexpensively, a pristine first edition copy. I really, really like it. From Queen Games, they did a nice job with the production, and I wanted to tell you about it. Even though it's 14 years old, it's still fun to play, and it's as good as anything that came out last year, and you can probably get this very inexpensively. If you get on the Geek Market, maybe look around, but maybe you'll find it at a garage sale or some place where you think they might be selling games, and pick it up very inexpensively, and that's always fun to do. But Thebes is a good time to play, and I enjoy it every time it hits the table. I really love it. That's number 10. Number 9 is going to be a game that is kind of hard to find right now called Starship Catan. Starship Catan came out in 2001, so it's been around a while. That's at 20 years? 21. Oh my gosh, I mean, that's a long time. It's an older game, and it's by Klaus Tuber, who of course did Settlers of Catan, and this is his iteration out in space. Now normally I don't like the space theme, but in this case it's wonderful. It's a 2-player only game. There's dice rolling, and it has a memory element to it, and the first player to 10 victory points wins the game. You're going to have 4 decks of cards that will be utilized during the game, and you kind of have to remember what's in each deck, because you might be looking for something specific and you're going, which deck was that in? Because I'm going to draw 3 cards, and I know there's this one card I want, because you get to keep them. That's how you gather colonies and so forth to give you benefits, and you get to keep them, and where is that card? And so it's got that kind of a little bit of memory element in it, which I generally don't like, but in this game it works wonderfully. Each player has a starship that's going to be laid on the table, and on the starship you have different tiles that you're going to be able to upgrade parts of your ship. And there's a picture of this on the back. Hang on just a second. Yeah, you can see the shape of your starship there on the back of the box. So that's pretty cool. And you can upgrade your engines, and you can upgrade your cannons, because you're going to have pirates that you have to defend against. So that's pretty cool. And then I had the lid off here for a second, and we've got tiles, the different upgrade tiles that give you stronger ship, give you better benefits, more storage power for your resources, and that's pretty cool in this game. And then also it comes with this little pamphlet. It has a big rule book that's down in there, and this box is packed, by the way, but this book walks you through I don't know why more board game publishing companies don't do this, but this tells you how to play the game as you play it. So you get this out and you read along and do what it tells you to do as you play the game. It really is handy when you're learning this game, and I love this game. We got it off of Geek Market, I think, and it can be very expensive. You kind of got to shop around. Maybe you'll find a gamer that's trying to call his library a little bit, and this might be part of that. And Lori just told me that there's a copy on Geek Market for 40 bucks, and that's pretty reasonable for this little game. Like I say, it's very difficult to find, and it's been out for 20-some years. So yeah, it's a wonderful game, Starship Catan. Lori and I love to play it, 2-player only. Okay, then we're going to go down to number 8, and that's going to be a game we just got recently called Hawaii. And you're like, Bones Collector, Hawaii, how did you get a copy of Hawaii? It's hard to come by. I traded my copy of Bora Bora. I traded my copy of Stefan Feld's Bora Bora, which I love, by the way. I like that game a lot, but it was one of his more complex titles, and it was difficult for us to get it to the table. This game is a little less complex, plays a little more quickly, and we enjoy it very much. We've played it a couple times now, Hawaii, but it doesn't have a very good picture of the game on the back of the box, darn it. Well, this is inside the rule book, and you can see the island here. And the island can be set up like, I think it states in the book there's like 3 million different combinations of ways to set this island up. It's a modular board, so it's going to change you just put them out there at random, and it's going to change the way the game plays dramatically. And this is the island, and then it has these little, this is the main island, it has these little islet tiles. And those are places you can go to get different things also. And then you also have your player board, which is it's kind of an L-shaped thing, and you have to get these totems. You're going to gather tiles from the main island, put them in your play area, in your tableau, and depending on how far over you come with your totems, or how far down you go with your kahunas on the other side, it depends on how far you've gone with those, whether you get to score those rows or columns at the end of the game. So it's very, very fun. We enjoyed it. I saw a video of it being played on YouTube. I watched over and over because I wanted to be, if I'm going to trade Stefan Feld's Bora Bora for it, I wanted to make sure I really liked it. And guess what? I did. It's an excellent old Euro game. Okay, Hawaii came out in 2011 the game came out, but I think 2014 was when it came to the US. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's what happened. It was picked up by Z-Man Games. I think it came out in Germany in 2011 maybe. And the author is Gregory Daigle. Thank you, Gregory, for a wonderful, fun Euro game to play. It's outstanding. 2 to 5 players, worker placement, like I said, on that main island, and then it has a modular board. I told you about that. Tile placement, and movement in this game is everything. So depending on how that board is randomly laid, it's really going to change how you approach this game, because you have little wooden feet that you acquire as part of resources, and you only get to move as far as many of those wooden feet that you happen to have. So that can be very tight economy movement. So it's just a lot of fun. Island tiles are very important. Boats and feet to travel to the islands, and the tiki and kahuna determine the scoring for columns and rows. So yeah, it's a wonderful game. Again, it's been out for a long time, and I just went back and picked it up, and I know that I'm going to play this game over and over because it has infinite replayability, and it's absolutely wonderful. That's Hawaii. All right, now let's go to number 7, and number 7 is a small game called Santiago de Cuba, and Santiago de Cuba is just an excellent game for people who just, and again, we just play this 2-player, but the reason why I like it so much, or one of the many reasons why I like it so much, is it's got this tiny board, and again, it's a small box game, and it's just a simple board. It's that size, yeah. That's all the bigger it is, and you're all going to be using a single car. All players use the same avatar and to move around to these different locations on the island. I think you can move 2 spaces. If you move 1 or 2 spaces, if you move any more than that, you have to pay a coin, which is hard to come by. I mean, money is so tight. This is all they give you. That's how tight money is to acquire in this game. So spending a coin to move an extra space can really make a tough decision for you. And then also, you're going to roll dice, and that's going to be the price of the commodities when you get to the port to be able to sell them. That's the price of them that's on the dice. So you have that decision going, how many of those can I acquire, and what's the price going to be? Plus you can manipulate that price a little bit. And then you have some other tiles that lay out here on the board of things that you yourself can acquire as a player. Put your player color marker on there, and when you go there, you get that benefit. When another player goes there, they have to pay you $1 to use that space. So that's pretty cool too. Plus you can do it, there's a little bit of interaction in here where a player can flip over a tile and stop you from going there temporarily. And so that can be a little bit of interaction that some people may not like, but it's not that big a deal. It's just one tile or whatever. So yeah, that's Santiago de Cuba. It came out in 2011, and this game can be pretty tough to find. And we looked for it for quite a while, and we enjoy it very much. Again, for any number of reasons, it makes us think. It's a good little Euro game. It's 2 to 4 players. Michael Reineck, I'm sorry I didn't mention the author. Michael Reineck is the author of this game. And he's teamed up with Stefan Feld on Merlin, and Michael Reineck. I think Michael Reineck also teamed up with the Brants on Turia, if I'm not mistaken, which is in my library also. So it's a pick up and deliver game, dice rolling, commodity speculation. I showed you that, and you have a shared avatar, which is that little car that you move around with. But what a wonderful game! Again, we acquired this game, played it a few times, and now we're hooked on it. We really like it. That's Santiago de Cuba. Okay, let's move on to game number 6, and it's a game called Firenze. Firenze by Andreas Stedding from 2010, so this game's 12 years old. 2 to 4 players, and the art again by Michael Menzel. The art is fantastic in this game. The art on the cards is beautiful. It's just a wonderful game, and it's about building towers. I just got this game. I don't know if we've had it a month, have we? We haven't even had it a month, but we've played it a couple of times. Watched it played on YouTube, and sometimes that's so hard to do when you watch a game played on YouTube to decide, am I going to like that game? You really have to pay close attention to the feeling that you get when the person doing the video is making those moves. Is that going to be something that is going to be exciting? Do I feel like there's enough tension in this game? Are the mechanics meshing well together? And I watched it over and over, and I decided I got to get this. So we've looked for a year for a copy of this game by Pegasus Spiel. That was the publisher, and we finally found one here locally. Someone got on Facebook and was selling their first run copy for $35. I was all over that. I was so happy when we brought that home and we set it up and played it. Oh my gosh, just what an excellent, excellent game. So you have, so yeah, there's quite a bit of goodness in here. The card art, just fabulous. I sleeved the cards already because this game's not going anywhere. You get a whole draw bag full of colored tiles that you're going to use to build towers. Gosh, let me see. Oh, there's a picture on the back of the box of what the board looks like. And you can see these different towers, and that's how you're going to figure out how tall you're going to build the tower and how many points you're going to get for that particular level. And each one of these cards in the market has 4 colored tiles on it. So you're going to choose one of those cards and take the tiles into your inventory, and you have a limited inventory. You're allowed to have 10 blocks in your inventory. So you got to pay attention of using those as you go along. And then also the cost of these cards increases as it goes up market row. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And that's not 0, 1, 2, $3. You have to pay in blocks. So if you want to take the card under the number 4 sign, you have to put a block on all the ones before it. So the cards that aren't getting selected are accumulating blocks, and maybe there's a reason for that card not getting selected. Maybe it's a card that, like there's one that's called Flood, where everybody loses a bunch of bricks. You lose like half your inventory rounded up or something like that, and it's a pretty awful card, but you know it's coming because it comes off the top of the deck and then it moves down the market row and everybody knows it's there. So it's not going to be a surprise when somebody selects it and it kicks in and everybody has to pay the piper. But that's pretty cool. And then you have a player board where you keep a construction zone where you're going to build your towers, and you have a cost for how many pieces you're going to build that turn. It's just an awesome game. There's so much to think about. There are, again, some cards in here that are interactive. I think there's one called the Smuggler or something like that, or maybe a Thief or something. But you're allowed to take one of the tiles from your opponent and give them one of yours, so you can trade them out. But you know those are coming. Again, because the cards are, the deck of cards 6 here, and this is the market row, so you know those cards are coming. You know they're there. It's not going to surprise you. There's nothing worse than a take that system where someone pulls a card out of their hand, throws it down, says, take that, I just destroyed everything you worked on. You know, you might as well go just cry on your oatmeal. That's not like this. You know those things are coming, so you can plan and prepare for them. A lot like in the Year of the Dragon, when you know those disasters are going to hit you. But man, this is a beautiful board. Look at the art on that thing. Michael Menzel. It's awesome. Yeah, just a gorgeous, gorgeous board. It's pretty on the table. All those colored blocks. Just a gorgeous playing board. And I wanted to tell you about this game because, again, I think it gets overlooked. Some of these games, just because they're old, doesn't mean they've lost their luster at all. They're very, very good still, a lot of them. Some of them maybe have aged not well, but the ones I'm showing you today have aged well. And I wanted to tell you about them so that you can go out and get games. If you like the games that I show on my channel, that's your biggest indicator whether you will like these. Because if you like games from Stefan Feld and Uwe Rosenberg and Rudiger Dorn and Vita Lacerda, people like that, you're going to love these games that I'm showing you today. And this one is called Firenze by Andreas Steding. The higher the tower, the more prestige you can score, and there's some special tiles that go on the board on each tower that are called balconies, and they give you a bonus for what that level. In other words, generally on a level 4, maybe you score 4 points for building a level 4. But if there's a balcony, and you do these randomly at the beginning of the game, and you put that balcony on the green tower on level 4, maybe it gets 15 points, something like that. So everybody's like, wow, I got to get there first, you know. You want to, and you have to do them in order. So the balconies are like Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something. I forget how many there are, and you have to do them in order. So number 1 has to go first, and then you're timing your building. You're like, okay, I know I can't beat my opponent. They've already got 2 red blocks in their construction site. They're going to get that red balcony for 10 points, but the number 2 balcony over here on the green tower, they haven't started that yet, and that's worth 15 points. So I'm going to start building that green tower, and I can't build too fast because they have to finish and complete that red balcony on the tower in order for you to go after number 2. So, I mean, just incredible. I can't believe this wonderful game isn't talked about more. Firenze, it's absolutely phenomenal. Number 5 is a game by Matt Gertz called Navegador. So everybody talks about Concordia. It's a very popular title by Matt Gertz, and it is a very good game. Lori and I had that game for a while and we enjoyed it very much, but we prefer Navegador, and the reason why is I enjoy really the color palette and the game mechanics of Navegador a little better. The box itself looks like an oil painting. I love that. And the map, and there's the back of the box. Hopefully you can focus in on that or see that. And the map itself, the board that you're playing on, looks like an old map that some ship captain back in the day would throw down on the table and say, here's where we're going, you guys. And I really, really love that. And this game came out, Navegador, in 2010, so it's 12 years old already. And it has a similar box to Concordia. Concordia was a thin box like this too. Maybe he had a thing going back then, but I just really, really love this game. You can explore, and exploring is expensive. It's going to cost you ships. If you are the first one going there, every time you go into a new zone, you have to pay by giving up one of your ships, and that is so painful. Those ships are so important to you, and they gain you so much when you have them, but to give them up really hurts when you're exploring. And you gather commodities, and you have a commodity speculation market on here where you're going to get paid depending on where the markers are on this commodities table, and it's just so much fun. And you can get the benefits of these different Vasco da Gama, Pedro Alvarez Cabral, Alfonso de Albuquerque. I love this Portuguese history. I just love it, and it's so interesting to me. And you get a book in the game itself that tells you about the different explorers, the different people that I just mentioned, and I always love it when board games go that extra mile. That is so cool, and I love this game. I just wanted to tell you about it, and it's, you know, gosh, you guys, I don't know if there was a game that came out last year that can hold a candle to Navegador. It is a wonderful game by Matt Gertz, and I do like it better than Concordia, just because it puts me in the mood of those Portuguese explorers and everything that they had to go through. I can almost feel it when I'm playing this game, and I really love that about Navegador. Please give it a try. So maybe that's something you can get your hands on, but just excellent game. Okay, game number 4 is a first edition copy of Pergamon. Pergamon is a game by Stefan Dorr and Ralph Zerlin, designing team that I love, because we love Finca also that they did, and I love Milestones that they did. I think it's Stefan Dorr and Ralph Zerlin. So two other games that they've done. And this game, Pergamon, came out in 2011, so it's 11 years old. There's the back of the box, and it's a 2 to 4 player game. It says Spectacular Archaeology. It's by Griffin Games. Just a wonderful, wonderful little box. It's a little box, the same size as your Carcassonne box if you have that. But yeah, it's just an excellent little game about excavation and putting together displays or exhibits of artifacts that you've gathered, and you put them together and you take them to the museum. Depending on the position on display where you put them is how many points you're going to score. But oh my gosh, it has a wonderful mechanism for excavating where it's a bidding. So wherever you put your archaeologist on that bidding track, you're going to go first if you're up front, but you're not going to get as much. And you've seen that mechanism before in games. But this is outstanding, and they just reprinted this, so it might be a little bit easier to get a hold of. I don't know. There is a second edition out that just was reprinted like recently. But I love this game. And again, it's another one that took me a while to get my hands on. But I found somebody willing to give it up, and I was willing to pay them for it. There's the back of the board, Pergamon. I hope you guys can see and appreciate that. And then I hope you can see and appreciate the board itself. You can see how these guys are excavating over here. That's really cool. So much thematic, beautiful illustrations. And then you have stacks of artifact tiles. They're going to be on the calendar section of the board here. And every round you take one of those stacks off and place them out to be bid on, or on the excavation sites over here where you're going to you're going to bid and see how deep you want to go, and it's costly to do that, and take certain artifacts to put together your exhibits to put over here in the museum. So, just so much fun. What a great game. Again, just a wonderful game. I hope you don't pass it up. Let's go back in time with me. Pergamon, it's just a beautiful game. Yeah, it's like 11 years old. All right, number 3. 3 is a Michael Kiesling game called Vikings. And I've talked about Vikings on other videos. It's in my top 100. Yep. And I really enjoy this game. Vikings came out in 2007. So this game is 14, 15, maybe 14 years old. Yeah, this game's 14 years old. It's an excellent, excellent game. I found this game on the Geek Market in the shrink. Yeah, first edition copy in the shrink. Very reasonable. I mean, it was like $30, $40, and I had to pay shipping, but I wanted this game, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm so happy that I got this copy. First run by Rio Grande Games, and this is the best Viking game ever made, in my opinion. It's just so amazing. Yeah, I paid $54 for this game, so I paid a little bit for it, but that's okay. I mean, things are relative. That's not inexpensive, but I was getting a game that's magnificent. And that's the difference. And I just bought a game for $54 and played it that isn't magnificent. And so I'm not going to tell you about that one. But this is very kind of got a similar thing going on. Kind of like if you've played Palaces of Carrara by Kramer and Kiesling. And Michael Kiesling put that mechanic in here where you have that wheel that changes the value of things. And it's so thinky. Each one of these spaces will have a tile on it with a Viking. Different colored Vikings do different functions, so you're going to have to choose the tile and the Viking combo that you want, and you're going to put that in your tableau in your player area. You have to protect all your tiles with a warrior. If you don't get to score that column at the end of the game, and that's really painful, so you really have to pay attention to that. But this game can be played in under an hour, and you think hard in that hour, and that's what Lori and I really, really like. And it has a nice storage solution in here for everything, so everything fits nice and tidy. You get a draw bag to draw your tiles out of, or your Vikings out of, and I really enjoy playing this Viking game. Oh my gosh. And here's the back of the board. Got a Viking ship on there. It's so cool, and it just amazes me how this game, we talk so much on YouTube about games that just aren't as good as this game, and yet this game gets overlooked, and people are searching for things and paying for things even worse that really aren't good, and they end up wasting their money. That doesn't make me happy. I want you guys to spend your money on things you're going to play for the rest of your life. That's why I talk about these games in particular. I don't know how this, but that goes over the tiles, I would assume. Like that? Yeah. No? Huh, this is weird. I don't know if we had a...
I put the pieces in.
Oh, they go in here?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. Okay. Okay. But yeah, I like telling you guys about games that I know for a fact are amazing, and that you'll play and go, oh my gosh, that was a lot of fun. You have a lot of, oh my gosh, moments in the game. And those are games that are really cool. And this is Michael Kiesling's Vikings. Just a wonderful game. I wanted to tell you about it, and it's part of my top 10 old Euro games in my library. I just love Vikings by Michael Kiesling. Okay, game number 2 is Goa. I wanted to talk about Goa in this list for a couple of different reasons. This is published by Rio Grande Games. This is a first edition copy. I think there was a second print run where the spices are actually screen printed, which makes no difference in gameplay whatsoever. But I wanted to talk about Rudiger Dorn a little bit, because I've talked so many times, or when I talk to you guys about board games, I let you know that great board game designers are people that when you find a game that you like and you see that this particular designer made that game, it's worth checking out their other games, because a lot of times you're going to find out that you're going to like their other games because of the way they designed this one. Can you hand me my farm, please?
Oh yeah.
So I want to take a minute and talk about that, how that works. Great board game designers don't work for publishing houses. They work for themselves. They design a board game and then they sell it to a publishing house. But I want to talk about Rudiger Dorn, a great designer here. We looked at this game, My Farm Shop by Rudiger Dorn, when it first came out and decided to not get it. And after a while, Lori said, well, I found a copy of that for $10. So she got this for $10, Rudiger Dorn's My Farm Shop, and we played this game and it is wonderful. But guess what? I didn't follow my own advice. I let this game go by because I didn't, and I will say this, a couple of reviewers, big time reviewers, oh that blah blah blah, they were mediocre, lukewarm on it, and so I didn't get it right away. This reinforces my point when I talk to you guys about following a great board game designer like Rudiger Dorn. You're generally going to like the other games he does, and I have other games in our library besides these two by Rudiger Dorn. Las Vegas Royale, which I love, super fun game. So Istanbul is also in our library. But you see the pattern here, great board game designers are very talented individuals. They're very intellectual, and they're able to put together a game that just massages your brain and makes your gray matter tingle, and that's what board gaming is all about. There's so many games out there that are mediocre or even worse, and these are just outstanding. But I wanted to tell you about this game that I just got, because I think there was a copy the other day for like 20 bucks on the geek market. Just an excellent game, My Farm Shop. But let's get back to Goa. Goa came out in 2004, and it is a 2 to 4 player game about the spice trade back in the day. And you can play this in an hour, 2 player. If you have 3 or 4 players, it'd probably take you 90 minutes. But it's an excellent game about acquiring spices in the spice trade, and you're building new colonies. But the fascinating thing about this is the action selection mechanism, or the selection mechanism in the market is a bidding type of thing. You're going to have markers as a player in your color, and you have to place those in specific manner on the market board in order to acquire certain tiles that you want. So that is the crux of this game, and the driving force and the main mechanic in the game is that selection mechanism in the market. But it's such a fun time. Again, this game came out in 2004, so it's starting to get gray hair like me. But that doesn't make it any less a wonderful board game if you haven't played this. Sometimes you have to go look back, not forward, and this is one of those times. Goa. Okay, my number 1 game on this list of 10-year-old European games, 10 years or older, and first, this is Carcassonne the Castle. This is the number 1 position. This is a game by Rainer Knizia, and he just reworked Carcassonne, which was developed by Klaus-Jürgen Ried, and we have Carcassonne in our library with a couple expansions in the box. We still have that game, and I love Carcassonne, but this is my favorite version of Carcassonne. And one of my viewers said they were able to acquire this after watching our video. It just thrills me. It's to think that somebody is going to play this game for the first time, and it's such an excellent game. Again, this is a Carcassonne size box, just a smaller box. This is a 2-player only game, and it plays in 30 to 45 minutes. The hardest mechanic in this game is when you're laying your tiles in most tile laying games, and it goes for regular Carcassonne too, you have to match the terrains. In this one you don't. So you got to see opportunities where they normally wouldn't be in another tile laying game. And that is really hard to do sometimes. But it has castle walls that are irregularly laid all around. It has a frame. And I can show you the back of the box, but you really can't tell. Maybe maybe the directions have a better picture. I love the art, by the way, in the front of the box. I love all that stuff. But it's, they got these like jigsaw pieces that you're going to make for the board. It makes a frame, and you're going to lay your tiles inside that frame, which is different than Carcassonne. Well, there's a picture of the frame right there, which is different than Carcassonne, because in Carcassonne you're sprawling and you can place those tiles anywhere. Here you're restricted by that frame, and you've heard me talk about games that do that restrict the available space. I love that. It creates so much tension. Calico does it. Subdivision does it. And you have to think about where you're putting everything. It puts the screws to you. It puts the pressure on you. You sweat real beads of sweat when you're trying to think of, where am I going to put this tile? I'm so tight on space. This is so amazing to think that hard. And then also in this game, around, you can see the numbers here. That's the scoring track. With the frame of the game itself is the scoring track, and the scoring track has some tokens on it, and you want to land on those. They're only on spaces that are on the corners. Yeah, I think, yeah, spaces there, these double spaces that are on the corners. You'll have a tile on each one of those. So they're face down. When you land on there and you flip that tile over, it's going to give you a special benefit. And those are very, very important because it can give you an edge that you need very badly. And if your opponent is getting all of those, you're really going to have to work to win in this game. You need to get some of those, so that scoring track is very important. And I love games that do that. As a matter of fact, one of the mini expansions in my regular Carcassonne game has a mechanism where you're gathering scrolls on the scoring track so you get extra benefits. So I like when the scoring track plays a role in the game. But that's my #1 game, you guys, of my top 10 10-year-old or older Euro games that you should absolutely seek out and play. And that's Carcassonne the Castle by Reiner Knizia. And that's it for today. I wanted to get a video out. It's been a while. I had some company come from out of state, and I apologize for the tardiness of doing a new video, but I've got another one in mind coming up, so we'll hopefully get that one out too. But I love every one of you. Thanks for watching. Keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. If you have any questions about any of these games, any comments about the games, please leave them in the comment section of the video. And then also, what are your, maybe you have some 10-year-old or older games that you absolutely won't part with. Let me know what those are also, because I would like to hear that. And not everybody's the same. These are the ones I adore. They're in my library. I wanted to share them with you, and I'm glad I did. So you have a good day. I'll see you next time on The Bonus Collector. Bye-bye.